the thing I wanted to do today is related to the thing we did last week. So last week I was making this sort of floating frame that used this type of bolt, the Chicago screws or binding bolts. They look like these. And then last week I left it at like, we made this frame, and then I even managed to make this little hanger to like hold it in place. But the thing I wanted to do was there are these, I wanted to like modify this one a little bit, or maybe kind of like do it a bit from scratch. But I saw this type of frame that has like a sort of scalloped decoration on the edges. And I thought that would be a fun one to do because it looks a little different. I feel like this regular frame, I mean, like a rectangular frame or square frame is like pretty normal, but like you can cut more interesting shapes with your machine. And so I figured we could try and do this one. Excuse me. I think there are a few things we can do a little bit different. So I think we can like jump into it. So I think I'm going to show you, I'm going to do like a sketch of what I want to do first, and then we'll go on and do the sort of parametric stuff, or the kind of all the little elements you can change. Sorry about that. So remember that with this frame, I suggested before that you can use this kind of bolt, or like the Chicago screw. Here it's the Wikipedia entry for those. They kind of look like that. Look like that. The bigger image. And then you could also try this type of fastener, which is the one that is kind of meant for mounting things on the wall. So this one is like similar. You just have to like size the hole appropriately, and then they come with like a screw that goes onto the wall. Like this one that I got for inspiration. It feels a little expensive, I guess. Like it's $160 for a what is it, 23 by 23 inches, and it comes with those kind of standoffs, these kind of bolts. So I don't know, you can like price it accordingly. So let's get started. So here I have a blank project. I'm gonna call it the scalloped frame. By the way, just a reminder that you can find all of the projects if you go to cuttle.xyz/livestream. And so here we have the previous one from last week where we made this frame. And on this page, you'd also find all the templates. At the end, I usually like clean the templates a little bit, like the ones I worked on during the live stream, and then you can find them here. And so you can like use them as a starting point for your own projects. Yeah, someone mentioned that the screws I'm talking about are called Chicago screws. So if you remember this one, or if you didn't watch it, with this one we had these parameters. We have the picture width and picture height that kind of modify the frame. And then we created this hole size, which determines the size of these holes. And then with this one, I created a sort of hole offset, because you want to kind of offset the hole from the corners of the picture that you're trying to frame. So I just made it a 1/4 inch. And then I created another one called a frame offset, which you can see here. So that offsets the frame from the edges of the bolt. So I feel like when you're framing things, like you end up like having to find out all these like little details, right? Like, I mean, you have the size of the thing that you want to frame, but then you have to like space things out so the bolts don't kind of like get on the corners of the frame, and then you have to space things out to get the distance between the edges of the acrylic or glass and the picture itself. So I don't know. It's like a number of things to like keep in mind. Anyway, let's get back to what I want to do. I'm going to sketch it out first before I kind of jump into all the like parameters. So let's say, for example, my picture is like 2 inches wide. I'm going to use this as an example. So let's grab a rectangle, change the scale to 2 inches by 2 inches. I'm going to change it over here. And so to create the look I want to create, I'm going to grab a circle and then just place it in the corner. If I look here at my kind of inspiration for it, well, it's hard to see. There we go. You can see how the circles are like on the corners, and then the center of the circle has the standoff like right there. So kind of like this. And so the thing I want to do is I want to copy these and then move it over. Here's just like a weird pro trick. If you hold the Option key when you're moving something, it like duplicates it, and it will show you this kind of like, the arrow looks like double. It has like a little white shadow. So I'm gonna duplicate it like that and move it along. Duplicate it. Just gonna grab it by the anchor and snap it there. I'm gonna do this real quick just to kind of tell you what I'm trying to do. So something like these. So once I have that kind of general shape, I think I wanna just select everything and then apply the Boolean union or weld. And so I think that's kind of like the look that I want. And then of course, I'm gonna have a circle here that is gonna be the size of the bolt. And I wanna have that circle on each one of the corners, something like that. So one compromise I'm gonna be doing here is that if you notice, I used like the rectangle I placed here. Where's my rectangle here? Is 2 inches by 2 inches, which mean, and the circles that I'm grabbing for the decoration are 1 inch in diameter. So you can see that I get 3 circles kind of spaced out kind of perfectly in a 2-inch frame. So what I'm calling a compromise here is that I want to do them like whole numbers because it's a little easier to calculate. You know, as soon as this frame changes size to like 2.5 or something like that, if I were to do something like this, then you can see that the spacing might change in kind of awkward ways. So I'm gonna, for now, I mean, we can do the math, but I don't want to be too math heavy. So I'm just gonna keep whole numbers. So it's kind of easy to understand. So this is my plan. Now let's try and execute it like similarly how we did before. So the first thing I did last time was to measure the size of the barrel on this Chicago screw. So I just kind of used my calipers and I measured it real quick here. So I got about 1.91 inches, and I'm not going to consider kerf or anything like that. I'm just going to go with that. That's a good number. So that's like the hole. So the first component I have is like the hole. That's the thing I know. So it's going to be a circle, and that hole is going to be 0.191 inches. So that's good. Yeah, I'm going to put a little bit black. So then I'm going to create another component, and I'm going to call that the picture. Yeah, the picture. Because that's like the thing I want to frame. That's going to be my reference. So that's going to be a rectangle. And that rectangle is going to have the dimensions. So let's make it blue. And last time what I did is that I did this, I created a parameter called picture width, and another parameter called picture height. And let's just put 3 inches and 3 inches. And then I want that picture width and that picture height to go apply onto the X and Y scales of my rectangle. So I can simply type it here. This is going to be picture width, and then this is going to be picture height. It's convenient to have the autofill, and just to check that it's working, it's working. You know, it's working. When I change these parameters, the size of my rectangle changes, and this is because I want those to stay as whole numbers. I can type whole numbers. So you see that how it scales here. It depends on when you type first. So for example, you know, right now it's scaling as in like, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But if you type 7.0, then the 0 is going to determine the steps. So now it's stepping, by 0.1. So that's kind of like how you can determine the level of precision on your parameter initially. And of course, if you type more zeros, for example, if I type 3 zeros, then you'll see that it's going to step, it's going to step by the 0.001. So anyway, that's like a quick trick. But I want to keep it whole numbers. All right, so the first thing I kind of was running into is that, like, if I place my hole for my screw here right on the corner of the frame, then my picture is going to have it right in the corner, and that's not what I want. So I wanted to create a sort of offset. So just to visualize it, this is probably not necessary, but let me delete that here. I'm going to leave this component as simply the picture, and I'm going to create another component called picture frame, where I do all these little operations. So I have my picture. I'm going to bring it in as a reference. We know that that's scaling nicely. Then I want to create, like, I want to visualize where the offset is. So I'm going to grab another version of the picture, but then I'm going to expand it. So I'm going to apply this expand or offset modifier. And then that allows me this kind of distance here. And then is rounding the corners by default. So I'm going to change it to have the joints be miter. So that changes the point. Miter is a pointy corner, and round is a rounded corner, and bevel is a flat corner. Let's go back to miter. And this one is only to visualize the distance. So I'm gonna do also kind of like I'm gonna do half an inch, 0.5. And so my whole deal here, let me make it. I think I want to give it I'm gonna make it pink just so I can understand. So my whole deal here is that the hole is gonna be here, but then it's gonna be offset by this amount. I want to move it up this way and then left this way. So we know how to place a hole right here in this corner. Because, like, for example, I mean, if I place it right here, you can see that the position of the hole, it's 1.5, which is half of the picture width. And that makes sense because we're moving it halfway from the center. So half of the picture width. And then we're also moving it up from the center, half of the picture height. So I can actually type that here in the position. So I'm going to be picture width divided by 2. That's half. And then picture height divided by 2. I think I did the same kind of in the last. And so now if I change the picture width, you see how that hole follows. Picture height, it kind of follows the corner. But then we need to place 4 of those, another 3. And I'm going to do it like in the kind of quickest way here, which is I'm going to select it. Oh, wait, hold on. Moving too fast. I still want to apply that offset that I know is half an inch. And I'm just going to kind of like hard code it in a way. So I know it's half an inch. So I'm just simply going to subtract half an inch here. So you saw that moved it in this direction. And then I'm going to subtract another half an inch here. And that placed it just where I wanted it. Now I need to repeat it so it goes, here to this corner and then here to this corner. And so I'm going to just use the tile repeat. So I'm going to do modify and tile repeat. So I'm introducing this one here because that's the one I also want to use to create the scallops. So the tile repeat works like this. You get like a displacement amount. You can see I can change it on the X direction, and then I have another displacement amount on the Y axis. And then I can choose the number of repetitions. I can have like, as many repetitions in this direction as I want and as many in this direction. But really, I only need 2 repetitions because let's go back to 2. So 2 repetitions this way and 2 repetitions down. Now it's a matter of like placing it. You can also use these handles. So if I'm, actually, can I? Yeah, I should be able to. Oh, it's because I have the whole place with some parameters. So I could also move, if I displace it this way, I can kind of like guess the number. I'm often like guessing numbers sometimes when I'm doing this kind of thing. So notice that this displacement is 4. And I sort of like backtrack my math. So basically it's something like this. The displacement needs to be the picture width. So that just gets me right here. But then I need to add that offset that I created because it's 1/2 inch here plus 1/2 inch here. So it's essentially picture width plus 1. So I'm going to add the plus 1 inch plus 1. So that gets me to that spot. And then similarly with the other one, I know that one is picture height. And once again, it just got me kind of like to this awkward spot here, but I know that it is, I also need to add this amount plus this amount, which adds up to a whole inch. So tile repeat. So that displacement needs to be picture height plus 1. And that's the placement of my holes. And if I change any of these, the picture width or picture height, then I get them like kind of neatly placed in those corners. So that's good. I got my holes. Now let's do the decoration part. And so that's also going to be quite similar because I'm going to place a circle here that is 1 inch. And I want to repeat it in the same fashion. I'm gonna do just to show you, just to simplify it, I'm just gonna do a linear repeat to do like just the top section, and then we can like think about it. So this one, it's being displaced by 1 inch. So this is the displacement. And then I only need, how many repetitions do I need? So I need 5. Which is funny, but like we can sort of see it here. The picture width is 3 inches. And so that is taking these 3 circles from here to here. So like 1, 2, and 3 circles. And then we get 2 additional circles because like half of the circle is outside of the frame. Anyway, we can just sort of count it. So that means we get the number of repetitions we need for these is the same as the picture width. So if I do picture width, I only get 3 plus those 2 additional ones. So plus 2. So that gets me to the number of circles I need to cover the picture width and then the additional ones for the frame. I hope that made some sense. So essentially, if I change the picture width, oh yeah, look at that. It's not working. I forgot one step. I also want to place the circle before I do the repeat to follow the corner. But we know how to do that already. Let me do that. I guess also like I'm going to show you a quick trick. We know that this hole has those parameters. If I select this, there is this little transform point, this one right here. So when you select any of these, you can actually copy them because that one is the one that contains all these parameters I wrote. All these. So I could simply do Control or Command C here to copy, and then I'm gonna move to this other big circle. I'm just gonna paste it with Command V, so that I pasted this whole thing, and it would paste more transformations if we had them. But that's just like a quick way to do it. So let's see, it's working now because this big circle is following the corner if I change picture width or picture height. So now let's go back to the repeat. So I'm gonna apply that the linear repeat, and it was as simple as this. I just need to change the number of repetitions to be picture width plus 2, and that now should get me to, yeah, that's cool. So again, as long as the picture width remains like a whole number. there are ways to figure out like smaller numbers, but like it's gonna break otherwise. If I do like say 4.5, notice how like now, the math is a little different. And then I don't get the decoration being like nice and centered. So anyway, let's keep it whole numbers. And so the same thing should apply to do the repetitions in the vertical direction. I just did the linear repeat to make it clear, but I think this one is just fine to make it into a tile repeat as well. So same things apply. Basically, the number of horizontal repetitions should be picture width plus 2, and then the number of vertical repetitions should be picture height plus 2. And I think that's pretty much it. Well, not quite. I think I want to join it. Let's see. I don't need the one I created for the with the expand, or do I? No, I do actually. Let's keep it. So I want to join all those circles, all those big circles, and this pink frame. So I'm going to change the order here. So I'm going to select that here and here. So I'm selecting just the circles and the expanded frame, and I'm going to apply the Boolean union. And that's like my overall frame. And then maybe I don't need this picture for now. I'm going to delete it. So this would be like my basic thing. But if I look at the one that I'm taking for inspiration, you'll see that it has like kind of a nice rounded point right there. And I think I wanna do the same. So this is like a funny trick. You would think that the rounded corners would deal with these, and it kind of does. But so let's see but it kind of breaks sometimes. So I'm gonna apply rounded corners. So that kind of works. It gives me the kind of like wavy look that I'm looking for. But it occasionally breaks. So for example, here in a 4x3, you'll see how like it gets some rounded and some pointy ones. And that's because the rounded corners is looking for the anchors, and then Boolean union creates some kind of strange anchors, additional anchors that the round corners kind of gets confused by. So we'll use another trick to like kind of make these more blobby. And the trick is kind of interesting because it's a weird recipe. So the recipe is if you apply an expand first. So I'm going to apply expand or offset. That just kind of expands everything. And then if you apply a contract after that, which is counterintuitive, is like kind of like, it kind of makes it into a sort of blobby shape. So that's essentially the trick. If you expand it and then contract it by the same amount, then you get that kind of look, and it's pretty reliable. It's kind of like an interesting way of softening the corners. I suppose you could even do a sort of, because I want to change these two by the same amount. I could even create a parameter. What do I call it? I don't know, blobbiness. It's got to be a better name. So I want the same amount here. So blobbiness. I'm gonna rethink this name. So if I change this amount, you'll see that it kind of changes the amount of the roundness. Let's see. I mean, the reason I'm doing, oh yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna leave it at 0.1. I think that's sufficient, but it's something to play with. So now to cut it, I actually want two separate components. I want the frame itself. So like these. So use the frame. So it's like clear, so it's hard to see. So this is like exactly the one I have on the screen. But remember the last time I was trying to frame something here, I was kind of running into the issue of it being a little hard to center. So it was like a little bit hard to like put it in place. It's funny to shoot like clear things. So I wanted like a little indication of where my picture is gonna go. So that's the thing I want to kind of like take care of next. So I'm gonna create another component, which is super simple. It's just really the picture frame, like that, plus the component I call the picture. So I can have my guide and like score it. And so then when it's time to do the cut, I wanna have both of those. Barbara says bloviness is the new word for the week. I like it. Thank you. Bloviness. And remember, like sometimes when you're doing multiple components like these that are likely to change sizes, like, you know, if I change the width here, they start like overlapping in weird ways. We can use this kind of fancy component called AutoLayout. Yeah, there you go. So we can place AutoLayout here. And the way that one works is that we can simply type over here on the AutoLayout options. We can type, you can see that it has a circle, a rectangle, a polygon, and a star. But we could type the names of any components that we created. So I'm gonna type the name of the ones I created. So one I called the picture frame. And the other one I didn't give it a name. Let's give it a better name. Picture plus score. Picture and score. So then on the auto layout cut here, check it. I need to type here picture and score. So now I get both, and then they should be properly spaced like that. So like I could make it a 2 by 2 or any other thing, and they have like a nice spacing. And let's look at it. I did cut that one. So this is just the clear one with my little 2-inch Post-it, and this is the other one with the score. Actually, I removed the protective masking, but then you can see that ended up there. I don't know if there's any utility to it, but like let's just remove it for now. So there, I got my little guide scored onto the frame, and then I actually drew a new tiny little snake. So I have my placement. Place it carefully. Yeah, I guess this time I didn't add a contract for that because I kind of wanted to see the lines a little bit. I think they kind of look interesting on acrylic. Try to place it carefully. There we go. So there it goes. Then I can place this other one, and then this makes it into a true like floating frame. And I got these like slightly shorter Chicago screws. So let's put them in place. I think I got a nice fit there for those holes. And then I can kind of screw these on the back. I'm not gonna do them all. Almost done. But yeah, there is your like kind of scalloped floating frame. Something that occurs to me is that maybe the picture that you're framing could have like a separate parameter, so you can like see how much you can get away with, and then you can maintain the size of the scallops. So this is the one from this week, and this is the one from last week. I don't know. I like these. I think it has like a fun kind of look to it, and potentially it could be not a circle, but like maybe like a pyramid or something like that. So I think that would be something that'd be fun experimenting with. So cool. I think that was half an hour. I also think that we could do some more math to like create like a way to have any picture width or picture height, so you can like figure it out a little bit better. But hopefully this kind of gets you thinking about like creating these relatively simple tilings to create kind of interesting decorative shapes. All right, cool. So that was half an hour. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all your comments and questions. And I will see you in the next one. All right. Bye. Have a good afternoon.